Back on NewsNation Now, the Pentagon, we've talked a lot about this, has been stepping up its presence in the Middle East. More missile systems being deployed after the threats from Iran. Thousands of troops being shifted around the globe. We're told to prepare to be deployed to the region. And we want to talk about this some more. We'll get more on these the maps and tunnels behind me in a moment. But let's right now bring in Lieutenant General Richard Newton to talk about it, the NewsNation senior national security contributor, former Assistant Vice Chief of Staff for the Air Force. He's with us live. General, good to see you again. I was just talking to Aaron Cohen, who's a former special ops for the Israelis, and he was, talking about the tunnel system, which we've talked a lot about, and what the ground offensive might look like. For you, the U.S. really has moved a lot of assets into this region. And I think a lot of the talk over the weekend was legitimate concern with all that's happened that this conflict could become much wider. How do you view what's happening and how the U.S. is handling it?
Well, Connell, good afternoon. It certainly is a legitimate concern, and I know the White House is very focused on that, laser focused on that, and certainly the Pentagon is. We now have, as you know, we've reported, we and I've talked about this for the last several days, the USS Gerald Ford Carrier Strike Group is now just off the coastline of Israel. The Eisenhower Strike Group will be there in just a matter of days. We've got added significant U.S. air power, including F-35, attack stealth fighters and so forth. And you also mentioned there's lots of ammunition and other supplies headed to Israel and actually arriving there. And one key aspect of that extra or additional supplies is going to be Patriot missile batteries along with missiles to provide that really essential and key air defense, especially to the north, because Hezbollah, has over 100,000 missiles and rockets. And so this will help fortify a very effective Iron Dome system, air defense system that surrounds Israel, but nonetheless, it'll also be able to protect U.S. Capabilities that are there in the region as well, especially in and near Lebanon, Israel, and to the south towards Gaza.
To this wider point, let me go to John Kirby just for a moment. National Security Council was speaking from the White House earlier today about some of these moves the general's referring to. Here is Mr. Kirby, the former admiral.
We have taken additional steps over the course of the weekend to increase our force posture and our readiness in the region to deter any other actor from attempting to widen this conflict, and certainly to continue to protect and defend our troops on the ground and our own national security interests in the region.
That last point is becoming more and more important, right? Deterrence, which he talked about at the beginning of that clip, was the first thing we heard, understandable. But now, with U.S. troops being threatened in Iraq, being threatened in Syria, that final point seems to be more and more real, defend our assets in the region, General.
It certainly does, Connell. And I would add a couple more terms. U.S. capabilities and the firepower that we're seeing now already there certainly in the Eastern Mediterranean, is not only to deter, but it's also to dissuade adversaries and actors, and in the event that doesn't occur, to defeat them. If you recall, just a couple of days ago or so, the USS Carney, destroyer in the northern part of the Red Sea, shot down 3 cruise missiles and several drones that were not really targeting the USS Carney, that battleship, but they were headed likely north into Israel and so forth. And so there are vital U.S. national security interests, as John Kirby alluded to. There certainly are men and women in uniform serving there, but other national security interests are there. We've got American citizens, and we've got, almost a dozen American citizens reportedly as hostages held by Hamas right now. And so this is all coming together. And I think it's very important that we have a very strong military presence and capability, as well as the will to use it should we have to.
All right, let's talk about that a little bit, the hostages, because you're right, that has become, it's always been a big issue, but in recent days, especially after the 2 Americans were released on Friday, and now all kinds of reports swirling, including the Reuters report about additional hostages maybe already being released today. We're trying to confirm that. There have been all kinds of talk that more hostages would be released. Now, whether it happens or not, we'll see, but how does it affect the military planners on the Israeli side and their timing for a ground offensive? And should the U.S., whether it is or not is open to debate, there have been reports, should the U.S. be counseling the Israelis to delay as much as possible?
Well, first, I believe, Aaron in the last block was very eloquent and obviously correct in his assessment of the ground invasion when that occurs. First and foremost, waiting on precise intelligence information as well as updated intelligence as well. Time is certainly on the hands of the Israeli Defense Forces as they gather around the borderline of Gaza there. Whether or not they're going to attack is to be determined. But nonetheless, then the first and foremost, the focus of Israel And Prime Minister Netanyahu said are the hostages. And reportedly now they're up to 222 hostages. I can guarantee you that there are American capabilities or American forces there. I mean that in terms of very small footprint, advising and helping integrate whatever capabilities the United States could come to bear, especially on a defensive nature or perhaps intelligence. But they're advising the Israelis on how to, perhaps certainly go in and then find, fix, and bring home those hostages. Now, that said, the best in the world in terms of hostage rescue are the Israelis. They're highly experienced. They know the Gaza Strip. They know the Gaza City and so forth. But the confounding piece here, Connell, is the fact that it's ever changing. It's a very dynamic, and John Kirby had said this from the White House earlier today, almost an hour by hour set of conditions. And so they're just waiting for the right time in the right place, but as well as updating that precious intelligence.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.